Hey YouTube, welcome to Beyond the Hype. This looks at new Pokemon with new moves, and we cut through sort of the clickbaitness of YouTube and actually give you a full analysis of their strengths, weaknesses, and a final analysis to say whether this Pokemon is actually worth investing in your resources as opposed to just getting hype on it. So today we're looking at DIggersby with the new move, Scorching Sands. So a little bit of history about Diggersby because it's important here. So Diggersby bursted onto the scene as one of your hardest answers to Galarian Stunfisk. Just absolutely dominated that matchup and then does well against Registeel. It was just great all around. There are, I think, two problems with this Pokemon leading up to where we are today. The first problem was Wing Attack got a buff. And you ran, at the time, Mudshot, Fire Punch, and Earthquake. And when Flyers bursted on the scene, you had, if you ran into, at best, Noctowl, you can only throw Fire Punch, or you get like a Charizard or a Pelipper or an Altaria, and you only have resisted moves to throw at them. So once Wing Attack got a buff, it just absolutely got killed because so many Flyers came out of it nowhere. And then I think the second problem is that it does lack, the typing is kind of tricky because you are ground and normal, and you have a lot of weaknesses that are in the main meta. In particular, you're weak to fighting because of your normal typing, and there are counter users everywhere in this meta, or like even Registeel with Focus Blast. And ground, there's a ton of water, right? Water is essentially roaming free for the most part as well. So your typing, and between the flying and your typing, you kind of faded away to the background. So now you have this new move, Scorching Sands. And as you can see on the screen here, it is a 15 less energy move than Earthquake for 30 less damage. So slightly lower damage per energy per second, but still like relatively hard hitting when you get to close to like 2 damage per energy. For sort of like lower, like higher damage with lower energy output, like that's pretty good. So 50 energy for 80 damage is quite good. As you can see, is also the same as a Dig, which has actually surprised me if this is correct. So that kind of surprised me. But what the moveset recommended on PvPoke now is Mudshot with Scorching Sands as your first move and Hyper Beam as your second move. So this does two things, and this is why I have both Hyper Beam and Fire Punch, and I'm going to tell you about my experience with it. I think Scorching Sands in general is an upgrade over Earthquake, because the problem with Earthquake was even before it got nuked or nerfed 10 damage, it was at 120. Even before it got nerfed, you weren't one-shotting anything with Earthquake anyways, right? So oftentimes you either needed an Earthquake and a Fire Punch, or like even 2 Earthquakes. With Scorching Sand, you still get a great damage output for much less energy, so you're probably just going to go for you just need 2 moves anyways. So most of the Scorching Sands I threw did well over 50%, and that you were within the next Scorching Sands range. So that was great. So that is the pro. I think Scorching Sands is a good upgrade compared to Earthquake, just given that scenario. The problem was you used to have Fire Punch, which could act as a bait. So only 40 energy to get to it, 9 energy per Mudshot. You're looking at just over 4, so like 5 Mudshots to get to a Fire Punch. The problem now is your bait move is now Scorching Sands, right? So you need 9 times, I guess 6 is 54, so you need 6 to get to the first one. And then, yeah, another 6 to get to the second one, right? So that is where the sort of drawback is, because instead of having what was 9, you're 9 to get to back-to-back Fire Punch baits, you're now getting to 12 to get to a Scorching Sands if you needed to bait before the Hyper Beam. The pro and con of Hyper Beam is it gives you, it's a hard-hitting move, 150 damage, but it is a high energy, 80 energy, so it takes a while to get to, even with Mudshot. Still takes 9 Mudshots to get to. And pro, it adds coverage to the Flyers, right? Anything like everything I just mentioned, Noctowl, Charizard, all those. The problem is it actually makes you unable to throw at a couple Pokemon, like Trevenant. If you run a ground Hyper Beam, Trevenant's going to resist everything. And then the main issue I found was if you go against the grass, again, you can hit them for Hyper Beam, and I do nuke a Venusaur with Hyper Beam, as you're going to see here. But you need to like either bait a higher bait charge move like Scorching Sands, or you need to land a Hyper Beam. If they shield that, then you're in big trouble. So I actually ran, so you're going to see here, I ran Mud Shot, Scorching Sands, and Hyper Beam first, and then I ran Fire Punch, Mud Shot, Scorching Sands, Fire Punch second, and quite honestly, I preferred the Scorching Sands Fire Punch combo. I preferred that bait, and I basically played it like I would before, where you, instead of just having like an Earthquake, but it wasn't a nuke, right? Because you still wouldn't be able to do like an Earthquake to take most things out anyways. You still needed like Earthquake plus Fire Punch or Earthquake or 2 Earthquakes. Now you just play like 2 Scorching Sands, plus you still have that bait move that also gives you coverage for grass. So I prefer to play it that way. You don't need to play it that way. You're going to see these first battles here. Like I said, I remember landing a Hyper Beam on a Venusaur. So it's an option there. So again, you're week 2. Because I'm running Hyper Beam first, I thought, okay, I'm not weak 2. I have an answer for Flyers. My main issue, Flyers are still going to be a bit of an issue, but like water is going to be an issue. Ice, right? So you're weak to water, you're weak to ice, you're weak to grass, and you're weak to fighting. So most of those things are taken care of by Mantine, right? When you attack Air Lace, I'll talk about Mantine in the next video, because I also have this afternoon coming is Superior with Air Lace. So I'll talk about the Air Lace buff there, as opposed to focusing on here. I really want to focus on DIggersby here. And then Medicham as a counter user. Just one of the best in the game, still one of the best in the game. So just good coverage overall with Medicham. So in these battles, this is where I think it is a strength, because from what I remember, 1 Earthquake from this range does not KO. It'll get it low, and you maybe I think Registeel is one of those tricky ones where it's like you probably put it low enough that you could Mud Shot down. Whereas opposed to this one, you can just go straight Scorching Sands. I figured they were going to try and catch, so I'm aware of that. You can live 1 Focus Blast, and I should, even though, no, you can't. I remember this guy had to catch to win. I think I had to catch to win this. Because I'm at the second one. 1 Focus Blast won't take me out. They have a second shield. And I think that they were going to outpace me to the third one here, because now, instead of just having that like Fire Punch in 4 to 5 counters, depending how late I am, I still need 4, 5, 6, 7. So I needed to catch, essentially, to win this game. And that's, I think, a couple of my wins with Diggersby were catches. I'm pretty sure you are also going to see another one coming up where I had to catch to win. And it was just a lot of that. It was a lot of like, man, I like this move. I do not like that it is the first move that I can throw as like my bait move. Or even like just to throw the move, just having, it takes to 7 to get there. So that was kind of a rough, and that is why I changed to a Fire Punch, and I preferred a Fire Punch. I probably should have come Diggersby here, because this is a Lickitung. I'm half normal, so that licks would have been resisted by the normal, as opposed to taking super effective here. I think why I came here was because I knew I could, because I already chipped this, I knew I could win this matchup and come out with an Ice Punch. Or I'm going to even shield up here and come out with an Ice Punch for the Gligar, if the Gligar comes back in, which will do double super effective, right? So I think that was my rationale for coming in there, but Diggersby is probably the smarter answer. Yeah, so we CMP here. They're forced to throw because, again, they do not want to take a double super effective move. So, yep, smart throwing, but I still have, was generally good alignment. I said with Gligar, any flyer is generally good in alignment because dig is where your sort of bread and butter is. But if you cannot throw dig on flyer, it kind of limits you, because I know these are just aerial laces. And again, I will go over aerial lace in this afternoon's video. Go here. They let it go, double super effective, take it out. And here we are with a Venusaur. So again, it takes me so long to get to these moves. I really only have one shot, and that is to throw, to bait here and then throw a Hyper Beam, and which I think I survive. No, they let it go and I have to go straight. Maybe this isn't the one I nuke. And that's the thing. If I had a Fire Punch bait, I can just go back to back there. But when you only have one there, Do I get the farm down? No, I do not. When you only have one there, you have to like go for the nuke and hope they don't shield. And even that is like rough, right? So this one just, if I remember, this one's probably just a hard counter loss. Lantern on Mantine. We have a Trevenant on Medi. And I remember something hard countering my Diggersby in the back here too. So I didn't do amazing with this team. And again, this is just me. Personally, I found that having Scorching Sand as your lowest charging attack and then having a Hyper Beam, which takes 9 to get to, just wasn't cutting it for me. And then I ran with Fire Punch and I went like 3-0, 4-0, something like that. But again, that's just me. My takeaway for you running Diggersby is Diggersby worth the investment? Yeah, I think it was worth an investment before, and I think Scorching Sands compared to Earthquake is at worst comparable, at best I think a slight upgrade, because this is the one where I nuke. Shield once and then I'll just nuke here. But again, this nuke is 9 mud shots, where Fire Punch would also take 9 mud shots to get to, and I could just double Fire Punch there to take it out. So it's not like, yes, I landed a Hyper Beam, that's sweet, but the Hyper Beam is really just for like flyers or just when you want to like nuke something in general. And then Scorching Sands here, again, this is where I think it plays better, because if I just had an Earthquake, I would not have gotten to the second move, right? Because they could have just shielded one Earthquake and very easily timed it to get the Surf off. But now I get the second move off, catch here. I get this attack off, and then I should just be able to mud shot down for the win, probably. Because Spark is resisted. Yeah, I can just mud shot down at this point. Or I can get to a Scorching. Yeah, mud shot. I can't even get to a Scorching Sands. So that's kind of where it helped in that scenario there, where I didn't have to just go to an Earthquake. And if the Lantern shields the Earthquake, then they would likely take me out before I get the second move off, but I get 2 Scorching Sands off. So I think just having a harder hitting move like Scorching Sands is probably better than Earthquake for Medi. Again, I prefer Fire Punch. You don't need to run Fire Punch. You could run Hyper Beam on it. Maybe play with both. But yes, I think this is worth an investment, despite the fact that there is a lot of tough answers to this still. Like Gligar is now sort of the main flying meta. I used Pelipper the other day, and Mantine now with Wing Attack buff. Like, you're going to have some problems with these Pokemon, so maybe Hyper Beam is better from that perspective. But then again, there's fighters still. There's tons of water still, stuff like that. So maybe if you're running Fire Punch or Hyper Beam, like hide it as long as you can. Just throw Scorching Sands in neutral situations if you can, and then either nuke them surprisingly or hit them with a bait Fire Punch, depending on what you're running. So that is Diggersby. Yes, worth the investment. Yes, worth testing it out. Scorching Sands is better than Earthquake, I think, just on a harder hitting, being able to get to a quicker comparison. And then it just depends what you want to run your second move. Again, what you want to run your second move could be team comp, could just be what you feel comfortable with in using Diggersby and what role you want to use it in. But yeah, being down 2 shields here, being down 1 shield. Again, so you need like 3 Scorching Sands. And that's the only sort of problem if not running a nuke here. Because if you were against something like tanky like Diggersby or Umbreon, 2 Earthquake probably take them out, but you're going to need 3 minimum Scorching Sands to take them out. So that's the only drawback there. But a nice answer here. And again, this is where I kind of like, again, I have a great matchup here, so it's not like you can read too much into this. But, this is just a great scenario, having this plus a Fire Punch bait that is actually acting, I think, as super effective if I remember what was in the front here. Yeah, Trevenant, right? If I was running Scorching Sands Hyper Beam, I would have absolutely nothing to throw at this. And now I have a super effective move that does almost 50% damage. So they're going to have to throw to take me out before I get to another one, and they CMP smartly. Should be enough to take me out. Yeah, but now I have a good answer here. Let's try and take this out. Right now, this is I'm hard countering them pretty easy right now. They let it go. What is in the back? Double bug. They're not even going to see my Metacham because I remember they boost here, but it doesn't matter because Wing Attack Air Lace is strong. And again, I will talk about Air Lace in my next video this afternoon, so go check that out when it goes live. Again, I use Superior, but again, I use Mantine here, and it relates to, the analysis relates to basically anything that has an Air Lace move. But that is it. So in the comments below, because these are my last, have I done? No, I think I have 2 more. Do I have 2? I guess I do have 2 more because I have Ninetales, and then I have the, so tomorrow you're going to see Ninetales, Kanto Ninetales with Scorching Sands because again, it is my Pokemon to use. So basically that analysis is going to be whether having a coverage move like Scorching Sands is better than having a nuke like Overheat. So that'll be the analysis on Ninetales, and then I used a triple sort of nerf buff team with Lantern with the Spark nerf buff. We'll talk about that, and then Galarian Stunfisk with the Earthquake nerf, and the third one, Glisopod with the X-Scissor buff. So I used all those on a team. I will go over all 3 of those in that video. But that takes us to Tuesday. And then I have, because league turnover is not till Friday now, I have 2 more days for videos. I made a poll and the majority said, give me some tryhard teams. So I will try and put like tryhard teams together of, and see, look at that. I got a Fire Punch off there that I would not have gotten off if I did not have that. Just give me some tryhard teams. So I'll give you at least a couple tryhard teams. League turnovers on Friday. It's one of those, I guess my video, I'm so torn on Fridays. Again, this is just a me YouTube thing that I need to figure out what I want to do, because I always, oh yeah, I hard count them. They're out here, but I hard count them, so it doesn't matter. Because I always put, if there's 2 leagues, I always put basically one of the leagues in the morning, one of the leagues in the afternoon. And that was good for league turnover days because people would check them. And then the next day, which was a couple seasons ago, it was Wednesday. The next season was Thursday. Last season was Thursday, and then it was Friday. It was fine for views. Unfortunately, league turnover was on Friday. So posting at 2 p.m. on Friday, not a ton of people watch YouTube from like 2 p.m. to like 10 a.m. on Friday to Saturday for me. So putting like a second team, so like next week is Ultra League and this Element Cup again. So Element Cup, I will look at the teams again because PvPoke has now updated the rankings and there's a few different Pokemon. All the Air Lace buff has made these other Pokemon stronger, which is interesting. And I also want to do a top teams for buff Pokemon for the Ultra League. I think Steelix will be better in the Ultra League. Glisopod, and I gotta figure out who others got buffed for the Ultra League. So I want to make teams like I kind of did for Great League, like the buff Pokemon Ultra League teams. I just don't know when to post them, so I may post one on Thursday, one on Friday, or I may do both on Friday and then just do other Great League teams earlier. But that is just me trying to figure out my schedule. As we roll into the second week of GBL. My Steelix video is causing an uproar in some spots. Yeah. That's okay. I stand by this series. My series is rooted in my experience and analysis, so get 2 shields with Aerial Ace, which I'm going to go film immediately after this to post for this afternoon, and we'll talk about that Aerial Ace buff and how it is very significant and then not significant at the same time. But I'm leaning on the more significant path there. Called the Dragon Claw first bait there, which was a nice call, and I will take this matchup. So that's it. This should be the last matchup. This is the last matchup. That is my DIggersby analysis. I think for the most part, why I said like I talked about the rest of the superior plus all this stuff tomorrow. I think realistically, again, everyone says use Heliosic or whatever it's pronounced. I don't have a good IV one, so I'm not building one up. But outside of that, I really don't think there's any other Pokemon worth testing. I know some people have already tested like Magnezone and stuff like that, but it's like they really don't have any play in Great League. I'm not going to waste my time even pretending that they're hyped up because it was just more like people were just like testing them for fun just to see. But like, no, they don't really have play here. So I'm just going to focus on the ones that do have play. And I think I'm done with actually the ones that do have play. So we're probably just going to go for like maybe some try hard teams for the next few days here after. So Wednesday, Thursday. Anyways, that's it. I'm going to go film my other one now. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.